Hey there, good morning, Proniacs. It is now my birthday, April 25th. 2 days after my Ironman race. Yesterday was a full rest day and recovery. Pizza, burgers, couple beers, laying by the pool. Monica got a cabana for us. It was pretty cool. So we were doing the recovery thing. I was trying to get back to health. Walking was a little difficult. I got a massage gun over at the Ironman Expo. I got talked into it because she kept discounting, and Lydia was with me being my Sherpa, and I was like, okay, fine, $200 off a $550 deal, like, okay, sounds good, I can see the value in that. So I got it, and man, it's been a blessing. Yesterday, when I could barely walk, after I massaged it out on my legs and put some heat on it and things, for a couple hours, things were working well on my legs. So I enjoyed it, and I did it again last night, and same thing when I was going to bed. It was great. But this isn't about recovery. This is about the game plan and how it went wrong. Because if you followed me on the Ironman Texas, it fell apart at mile 14. And that is where I said I was gonna kick it into gear. Now, this isn't the first time that this has ever happened to me, where the plan has gone absolutely south right where I wanted it to. I think Ironman Arizona 70.3, I did the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna cruise to the halfway point, the 6.5 mile mark, or 7 mile mark, whatever it is. And then I'm going to beat pavement as hard as I can all the way to the finish. And this time, I don't know, man. It was just, I think I went too hard on the bike. They said, in following social media, Ironman Texas 2020 on Facebook group, they were like, hey, this was the hardest Ironman that we have ever done. And they've done like 11, 8, 5, they were saying, and they were like, this is the hardest bike that we've ever done. And the DNF, or did not finish rate, was, I want to say 18%, which is pretty high. I think that usually you have a DNF rate of about 5 to 8% on a regular Ironman. So you saw a lot of people struggling, and it was all because on the Hardy Toll Road, which is 20 miles out and then 20 miles back, 2 loops, was fully winded at 20 mile an hour winds, up to 30 mile wind gusts, and you just had to crush it in order to get any sort of momentum in miles per hour. People were just, if you watched any videos, were just crawling along that 20 mile stretch up to the turnaround. And I know, like everybody else that were the athletes there, when you're going up that stretch of the Hardy Toll Road, you just like, when can I get to the turnaround? Because once you get to the turnaround, you get that tailwind, whew, it's smooth sailing. You're going 30 miles an hour and you're barely touching the pedals. But if you burn yourself out for 40 miles of a 112 mile bike ride, it still does a number on your legs. And that's what I saw coming into about mile 9. Well, I started to have a little bit of GI issues around mile 2, but those got taken care of quickly after I let them go. So that was good. And then I had that dance with, do I quit? Do I DNF? And I want to say that there is real blessing in having a support team that is with you rather than just like there. Because if they weren't with me and I was running around here and people weren't supporting me, it's not about the people that were around me that are like, yeah, go, 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 because that's what they're doing to everybody. But Monica, Lydia, Georgia, if they were like, hey, Dad, you're looking bad, you need to stop, I'm sure that I would have. If Monica was like, hey, man, you're not looking so great, why don't you call it quits? I'd have been like, oh, okay, turn my chip in, let's go. But I didn't want to. But that's where I was. You go to a position of like, where, I'm paying for this. What am I gonna feel like tomorrow? Like, that was the worst thing, when I was like, hey, what am I gonna feel like tomorrow? Is this gonna feel so much worse walking this 12 miles? And I'm glad that I did, or 14 miles, because I totally didn't feel any worse than I would have, especially with that massage gun that I was telling you about. And I finished, got a medal, and people were like, hey, yeah, it's really cool that you finished. And that's what it's about. It's about finishing and just going through the challenges and the obstacles in order to get to the finish line, no matter how long it takes. You have 17 hours to finish the damn thing. It took me 13:45, which is respectable. It's not my 11 that I planned on, but I had a great time. I got to see a lot more than I would have if I was just focused on getting this 11 hour time. I got to meet some cool people, got to share with them their experiences, and just go through things together. One guy that I was walking with, I was like, man, I can't run more than about 50 feet, and then it starts twitching like I'm gonna go into seizures in my legs. And he's like, dude, my GI, my stomach is just beat up. Like, if I try and jog a little bit, I'm gonna barf. I'm like, oh man. So his legs were good, but his tummy was not gonna have it. But my legs were terrible and my stomach was good. The only issue that I had was if my health, it was at stake. So if my vitals weren't good, if I was feeling like woozy and I was gonna like fall over, or if I was feeling like it was going to be detrimental to my health, I may have considered, after aid stationing up with as much nutrition as possible, that was the only time where I'd get pulled off the course. But one time when I took a couple of Red Bulls on the backside, my heart rate, which was the vitals that the only real vital that I was able to manage and gauge how I'm doing off of, spiked from 110, 112 where I usually were to 170. And I was like, oh shoot, this isn't good. And I'm on the backside, like there's no sitting down to rest, because if it's spiking, you may not come back. Like, that's the end of your day. So I'm walking it out, 17-minute mile pace, so walking not even real quickly, and I'm spiking at 170 beats per minute in my heart rate. Yeah, it was brutal. So it eventually came down. Moral of that story was, don't just throw in some energy drinks when you're doing a high intensity endurance race where your body just eats up and powers through all of the nutrition and calories that you take in. I think my sister Renee posted that it was 13,500 calories that I burned throughout the day, which, yeah, it's pretty amazing. I haven't even caught up to that in eating yet, and I haven't tried. I didn't eat the day after, or the day of. Like, I went to bed and had like a half a burrito and tried to get in some fruits and things, but a lot of water, and that was about it. Anyways, it's been 8 minutes now, so I finished. The finish line was awesome. I made sure to focus on the family a lot more this race than just focusing on finishing the race, because I wanted to focus more on others during this race and just get to know people, figure out what they're here for, why they're doing it, and kind of just reflect on that as well. But I got to see him outside of the swim, which I had an awesome swim, and said, hey, how's it going? High-fiving. They got a picture. Went off on the 112-mile bike ride, came back, and then halfway through the run, I was already on the walk when I saw them on the run, and got to say hey, high five, got a cool picture with their cool stuffed animals that they got from Build-A-Bear. Apparently they have an amazing Build-A-Bear here in the Woodlands, which is a really bougie place. I mean, look at this. It's like all lit up. I mean, that fountain over there, they have like a really cool presentation or music variety that they play every 10 minutes or so. So the girls were down here dancing to it and stuff. Anyway, enough about that. Ironman Texas 2022 is complete in 13 hours and 45 minutes. I made it. I'm not dead. And I love y'all, and thanks for all the love, y'all.